Today I'm going to give you a quick rundown on the camper van build. I did get one major step completed. Then we're going to switch directions completely, and I'm going to build 3 very timely projects using nothing but scrap lumber. So let's get going. The weatherman says I have about 4 days of sunny, dry weather, cold. So I wanted to get as much of the sealing in the camper van done. And luckily I did exactly that. This wasn't necessarily a tough job, just kind of tedious and time consuming. I had a lot of cuts to make because I wanted to stagger the joints. Of course I had to cut around the fan there. Each piece was liquid nailed and then with my nail gun stapled up into those frame pieces you see there. Worked my way all to the right side first. As that was done, I finished up on the left side. Of course, the nail holes will be all filled, and this entire thing is going to be painted white. That'll come later. So that sealing really did turn out well. It's going to look real nice when the entire van build is completed. But now we're going to switch directions, and I'm going to take advantage of the 2 remaining days that we're supposed to have sunny and dry weather, and build some projects that are timely, like I mentioned. You'll understand what I'm talking about when we're done here. Starting with a turning using a pretty hefty piece of material. This is juniper. I've never turned this stuff before, but these are basically logs right off of a tree. So we're going to take this and see what we can do with it. So I'm going to start out by taking down some of these knots. Make it easier to round up. So now, again, I'm just going to try and eyeball the center of this. And obviously it's not even close to being in the center. So we're going to have some pretty good, I would say pretty good vibration here. So we're going to start slow. Well, actually, let's start out at 700. That's the lowest speed on a standard Mark 5. Let's see what kind of vibration we got. Stand to the side. And we got a little, but by bringing that speed down, see how that vibration kind of goes away? That's where we start. We take our time here too. Bring that center line up a bit. Here we go. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? So with this rounded out, now I can start doing the project. So again, I'm just doing this on the fly. I did see some pictures of something that I'm trying to duplicate. I want this as round as I can get it. Juniper, you've got lots of checks and lots of
problem areas, like right there. This whole thing could just explode here. It looks like it might just do that. I'm gonna have to be real careful here.
Now, although this is considered a softwood, it's on the harder side. In fact, they say it's about 35% harder than pine, but it's 75% stronger. Also, it's not in the pine family, it's more in the cypress family. So here I'm starting to lay out where the base of this project is going to be. Parting tool. Well, I'm not certain the cutting's all done here yet, but I'm going to see how this stands up. I'm going with a 60, 80, 120, up to 220. Should give it a nice finish. After the sanding, I pulled it out of the lathe and took it over the bandsaw and cut each end off. So after staring at this for a little bit, I thought, I'm just not feeling this thing. So I put it back in the lathe carefully and added a couple more cuts. And just for the fun of it, I added this little topper. Now it's starting to look the way I hoped. So I set that piece aside. It's ready for finish. We'll get to that later. But now I needed to take some of that scrap 1x4 from the framing in the van, and I wanted to glue up a few pieces of that for another idea I have for a additional project. So after I got that all clamped up, I grabbed one last final piece of that 1x4. Needed to rip it down to about 1.5 inches wide for yet another project. Now it's a matter of cutting a few pieces at some angles, 20-degree angles, some opposing, some parallel. And if this is starting to look familiar, this is a take on a project I did way back on the very first season, the very first episode of today's Shopsmith, where I made the same similar frame. This is a little bit different because they're smaller. This is all screwed together, and then the holes for the screws are filled with dowels to hide them, give it a more finished look. After the glue dried that were holding those dowel pins, I just took it over to the disc sander and knocked them down in her quicker than using a saw. And then it was time to do the regular sanding. I don't know about you guys, but I hate sanding. So these things turned out pretty nice. It's a good size, exactly what I wanted. So I set those two pieces aside. They're also ready for finish. I also have to add some other things to those two pieces. You'll see that in a little bit. So it's back to the piece that I glued up earlier. First thing I got to do here is chop it down to size. Again, I'm kind of eyeballing this, playing it by ear. But trim that down. Also wanted to rip it a little bit. I want to actually make this about 3.5 inches square. So I've made myself a little template here out of some cardboard. After I get this laid out on this side, I'm going to roll this over and do it on an adjacent side. And that's a key. You want to do it on an adjacent side. So before I take it over to the bandsaw, and while it's still square, I need to drill a couple holes. One right in the center of the bottom of the long piece, and then the little square piece over there that needs to be also drilled right in the center. All right, with those holes drilled, it's onto the bandsaw, the fun stuff. There's the cuts I just made.
Now I'm going to simply tape these back up.
So after the bandsaw cuts were made, it's back to the sanding. Use my 3-inch drum sander here. Are you starting to see a little theme taking place here? Yeah.
Well, after all, it is November. In fact, it's Thanksgiving week. And this is the time of the year when I start thinking about decorating the house for Christmas. It's why I'm building these projects now. In fact, some of the designs I'm doing today I got from looking at some images of some Scandinavian designs. So with my projects basically assembled, tomorrow I'm going to bring them in and we'll get them finished up.
Well, the weatherman got it right this time. I went from bright, sunshiny, cold day the day before to a bit of a snowstorm.
So I really did luck out with that weather. I got these things all assembled and sanded as you saw outside. And then today I brought them in. I wanted to keep these all natural, so what I've done here is I've put about 3 or 4, in some cases 5 coats of water-based gloss urethane on these. Just a nice look. I like it. And the whole idea behind this video is to show you that it doesn't take a whole lot of time or effort or money to get out there and start building some nice projects. And again, I can't think of a better time to start doing things out in your shop than during the holidays. So that's what I'm trying to do here for you today. I hope maybe motivated you a little bit and you'll go out there and start building some Christmas for yourself. I'm Mike Young and this is today's Shopsmith.